booty. Hot booty. Hey, handsome. Oh, she must have seen me play Uno. Hey, handsome. I'm horny. Wanna trade pics? You first. XOXO. Wow. Uber-Lead Haxor again. Need your avatar modded with like pink skin and stuff? Message me. 1,600 Microsoft points. That's a deal! I'm gonna go get my 1,600 point card that I just got for my birthday!
Hello, this is Special Agent John Smith, and I work for Xbox Live. I need to verify your account, so I'll need you to send me the Windows Live ID and password that you use for this account. Once we verify, you will be able to use your account again.
Uh-oh, I better give him what he's asking for. I don't want to get banned. Uber-Lead Haxor says, can I have a pony?
All right, those were our videos, so just take those to heart and make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Quick programming note, Jason passed me a note while the video was up. Doing that dance he did, he pulled something in his leg, so he's actually not going to be dancing for us anymore. But Boris, oh man, the crowd is so... Boris is going to come up and tell you guys a little bit about the processes that we actually use in order to do enforcement on the service. So everybody, Boris Erickson.
So hello everybody, my name is Boris Erickson. My gamer tags are Boot Black and XBL Pet Papa. And before I get started, I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. I'm here to bore you to tears with PowerPoint for the next 15 minutes. So if you've, put away the phone or closed up the laptop, feel free to crack it out again and check your tweets and Facebook status updates. I know it's all the rage with you kids these days. That is, of course, if you can even maintain a signal. I've had about as much luck staying connected within a half-mile radius of this place as I do while
Mine was working fine by Windows Phone 7 device.
Got one, too. Anyway, in all seriousness, I'm here to tell you a little bit about the technology behind Xbox Live Enforcement. So, like Stepto, Andre, and Jason, I do a lot of things for the Xbox Live Policy Enforcement team, but my official job title is the Xbox Live Enforcement Unicorn Ninja. I have the business cards to prove it. By the way, I'm still not sure how I got this title, but it looks great on a tax return. More importantly...
That's not an audit flag at all.
More importantly, what this title means is that I'm responsible for designing and managing the tools that we use at Xbox Live to enforce the code of conduct and actively police Live. Of course, I'm not alone. Besides the core work that we up here do, we're also the parent group for the Xbox Live Enforcers. In addition to the enforcers, our team also directs the development of the most important tool in our arsenal, which is called Vulkan. Stepto, I know admitting this is probably a career-limiting move, but I always mess up the story about why you decided to call it Vulkan. The last time you told me I was already more than a few pints of beer into my evening and staring glassy-eyed at the intersection of Jaeger and Red Bull.
And I was with him, so I...
Could you explain again?
I would love to explain it. Basically, when I was first coming up with the tool set that we were going to use for enforcement, I wanted to give it kind of a cool name. It is called Vulcan, not for any Star Trek reference, but for the first line of the entry for Vulcan in Wikipedia, which is the god of hindering and enabling fire, which I thought was cool. So that's the name that I gave it because I thought that was an interesting name for the tool set. And I'll tell you a funny story was back when the J.J. Abrams Star Trek film was out, I went to go see it with a friend, and as we came out, I had gotten a text that our test version of Vulcan had actually crashed. The regular version was fine, but the test version had crashed. And I said something out loud while I was reading my phone in a tweet, and I said, "Oh man, Vulcan went completely down." And my friend looked at me and went, "That's one way to put it." If you haven't seen the film, you probably don't get that reference, but if you have seen the film, yeah. I was like, "Oh, no, not the planet, sorry." So yeah, that's the story of Vulcan.
Awesome. So there you go. So the name of our tool set is based on some obscure facet of mythology known probably only by Stepto.
And probably edited by a 12-year-old, for all I know. Right?
You know, I might have known that fact too if I hadn't slept through my entire third year of classes at the college I never attended. Moving on. So Vulcan and enforcement in general represents, as Stepto said, a big investment by Xbox Live. After all, we have a full-time staff devoted solely to designing, managing, and improving the tool set, as well as a big team of folks to use the tools to keep the peace on live. So the question frequently comes up, why do we bother? Well, the first reason is, it's the right thing to do. Our mission at Microsoft, and I'm slightly paraphrasing here, is to allow people to be their best. And you can't be your best on Xbox Live if you feel unsafe or feel like you're not on a level playing field. The second reason is that enforcement is a competitive advantage. Some of our competitors used to get a pass when it came to objectionable content and cheating. People would say, "Oh, you only see that kind of crap on Xbox Live," or "Oh, you can't cheat on this other system." Well, as microphones and user-generated content have become more common across all gaming platforms, we've recognized that investments in proper enforcement procedures put us ahead of the game. The final reason, and in some ways the most important, is compliance with the law. There are situations when we are required to interact with courts and law enforcement agencies around the world, and believe me, how surreal it is to see @fbi.gov in my email inbox. So how do we define enforcement on Xbox Live? There's 5 primary terms that we use to describe our work. Complaints are what our players say about other players. Decisions are what we say in response to those complaints. Enforcements are what happens to players when we make a decision against them. Crimes are definitions of behavior or activity that violate our rules. And finally, sentences represent how we respond to a violation of these rules. And I should be clear here, the terms crime and sentence do not refer to actual crimes and sentences. These are merely handy terms we use to frame our enforcement activity. I'll cover each of these terms briefly, and then I'll move on to the real reason I'm here. Hint, hint. I suspect most of you are familiar with filing complaints on Xbox Live, right? Right. So who here has filed a complaint on Xbox Live? Awesome. So thank you very much. I won't go too deep into how this process works since most of y'all seem familiar with it, but suffice to say, anyone on Xbox Live can file a complaint on another player in a number of different categories. We live for complaints. Vulcan exists to process complaints. Without knowing what our players are saying, we don't know where to focus our enforcement efforts. It's a huge help, so please keep at it. Next, decisions. Enforcement agents review complaints and take one of 5 decision types. Accurate means that we agree with your complaint. We've reviewed the evidence and we intend to take action. Inaccurate means that we disagree with your complaint. The complaint was either false or we have other evidence to disprove the allegation. Reasonable means that we basically disagree with your complaint, but we understand why you filed it or we believe that you filed it in good faith. Escalate and pass aren't actually decisions. They're just a way of handing a complaint off to another enforcer. Take a look at the lower right. that's a bit of a hint about what's coming up later. Now let's take a look at enforcements. Currently, there are 3 types of enforcement on Xbox Live: the communications, or comm suspension, the service suspension, and the forced name change. Comm suspensions allow users to sign into Live, but prevent them from using the microphone or the camera or sending text messages to other users. Service suspensions prevent the user from signing into Live entirely. Just like just like a driving license, if you're suspended, you're not allowed on Xbox Live at all. No games, no Zune on the Xbox, no Netflix, no nothing. And last are forced name changes. The FNC, this isn't really a suspension. It just means we determined your gamer tag violates the rules. Once you change your tag, you can come back online, provided you all aren't also under any other type of suspension. Now into crimes. We'll institute enforcements for a number of reasons, and those reasons are what we call crimes. Of course, these aren't actual crimes as defined by law, but we use this term to describe violations of the rules of Xbox Live. Most of these aren't that surprising. Offensive gamer tags, profiles, and communications are the big 3. But we also enact enforcements for things like account theft, phishing and solicitation, piracy, and of course, typically the audience favorite, nudity and sexual content. I'm only going to say this once, folks. Keep your hoo-has and your badonka-donka videos off of Xbox Live. Thanks. The final piece of the puzzle is the sentence. How bad was the violation, and how long is the enforcement? Most of the enforcements can be assigned for 24 hours, 1 week, or 2-week suspensions, and we give them some easy-to-remember names as opposed to remembering the durations. The exception, of course, here is the forced name change, which on its own doesn't carry suspension. However, if a player has done something especially terrible, or they've repeatedly broken the rules, we may institute a permanent ban. Or, as we often say, invite that individual to no longer be our customer. You gotta do something really bad for that. Okay, so let's get to the real reason why I'm here. I've got something very special to show you. We've never shown Vulcan to anyone outside the hallowed halls of Xbox. But today, you lucky folks get to be the first. That's right.
I should have done this sooner.
Agreed. I am going to show you Vulcan. Couple of quick notes. First off, as you can probably imagine, we deal with amazingly offensive content every day, all day. I mean, really nasty stuff. I've been working at this gig for about 2.5 years, and I still come across stuff that squicks me out. So, for the purposes of this demonstration, we've had to obscure most of the text content. Now, I know this might be a bit disappointing for y'all, but when you imagine having to defend to management how you derive the acceptable number of F words in close proximity to the Xbox Live logo, you can probably imagine why we had to take this step. So, top 13 letters in the English language, along with F and K, are a no-show today. Secondly, we're only showing videos today, no live demo. We weren't sure if we'd have any bandwidth at the con after all, and even if we did, I didn't relish the idea of requiring an escort out of PAX under armed guard because everybody on the convention center suddenly discovered that I had a laptop that could ban or unban their buddy from Xbox Live. Final caveat, and then I'll get to it. Vulkan is not our only tool, and this isn't even all of Vulkan. I've had to remove or skip over some stuff for security and privacy reasons. All right, enough of my blabby warning crap. Let's get to it.